And that intro just resonates in my headphones. It's so great because that reminds me that we are in another Tuesday night Marketing Made Easy show. My name is Joey Ragona. You are who you are. Thank you for being here. We are so excited. Who's we? I'll tell you who's we. That is my good friend Scott Vogel is in the house as always, without fail. And we're here to impart some wisdom today. Only today, though. Only today.
No other day, just today.
Yeah, just what we're going to talk about. One of the biggest questions that comes up in weekly for me, almost daily for me, is how do I find dream clients? And if you notice, the episode is not titled "How do we find dream clients?" because if you've been with us over the course of the last 141 episodes, or if you're brand new, let me remind you, if you've been here and if you're brand new, this may be a mind shift for you, is that we don't find dream clients, they find us. And that's what today's episode is all about, because we're going to talk about something that I've named PreFluence. And this is going to be a wicked conversation because I know, Scott, you're heavily into this now. We've talked a little bit about it before, but now that you've been through Atlas, you're involved with it. So let's get right into this conversation. Before we do, hi, Scott.
Oh, hi, Joey. I was going to keep going, and at some point here, I might be able to say something. And for those of you that are watching live, hashtag live. Those of you watching on the replay, hashtag replay. And if you haven't yet joined the Heart-Centered Marketing Club, go join us. Where Joey is in there every day. I hang out there as many days as possible. We answer your questions. We help you with all things marketing and mindset and strategy and direct response and self and everything it takes to build a dream business with dream clients and live a dream life. There you go.
So, wow, what an intro, man. It's almost like you know what you're talking about, like after all this time.
Joey, when you said 141 episodes, and again, for the whoever's watching, is we started 141 weeks ago with just, hey, let's just do some lives. That was it. And it kind of became just our playground and that. And I love, how do I find dream clients? Because you don't find dream clients, they find you. It's just plain and simple. And it's such a different mindset for the majority of people out there who have been told we have to go advertise and market and sell, which means finding some way, place, people, group, agency to give them money to do things that we have no clue how to do. And no matter what we try and do, we're not going to figure out how to do Facebook ads, and we're not going to figure out Google ads unless that's all you do and you spend all your life and that's your superpower. Well, then great. But it just, we've gone over the hundreds of thousands of casting big nets into funnels. And I loved your reply to unfunnel and what is unfunnel and the email you sent. And it's all part of this. And I'll just give you a quick example before we get going, even though we've gotten going.
We're going already, man. We're like right into the race.
When you finally hit me over the head enough times and I planted the flag after drawing the line in the sand and said, you know what? I am only engaging with my dream clients who are yoga teachers and healers, period.
Yeah.
And right after I did that, almost immediately, somebody was looking for something and said, oh, you're special. That's all you're doing, right? I know this person that knows this person that is looking for this. So that energy started to flow. The other day, somebody posted in Kajabi looking for somebody in the wellness space. Well, here, you want to talk to this guy. And so I don't have to go out. And that's just that's part of PreFluence and benefit breadcrumbs. But that's just because I drew the line in the sand and planted the flag and said, here's what I do, pumpkin plan. I want to build the best damn pumpkin with the best pumpkin seeds for my yoga teachers and healers. The others, there are other people out there who will serve you in their niche.
Right.
And so I just wanted to throw those two things in because they're top of mind. And today, somebody was like, I'm looking for somebody. And they're like, oh, Scott's the guy. And not because it used to be, I'm looking for a copywriter, I'm looking for a funnel builder, I'm looking for a this and that, and it would be like me, but then it would be like, really, you're not my dream client. Now, once we say who our dream client is, then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's out there for the world. And when we get the dream statement that says, I help yoga teachers and healers who are struggling to get their life's work online, to simply and easily do it and live a dream life with dream clients and a dream business. That's it. So somebody hears it and goes, huh. The other day on the call, someone was like, I know a whole bunch of yoga teachers. And I don't know, again, it's not intentional. I don't know if it's going to lead to something. It wasn't done with an ulterior motive of, it's just, that's who I am. That's what
Mm.
I do. It's what I specialize in. And years ago, I'm still big into the escalator speech, and which is, the point of difference and the dream statement. It's all the things we've talked about for years, but this just centers it so perfectly. Go.
Very cool. Thank you for that. Before we move on, I just want to say hi to some viewers here already. Thank you for putting in the chat. Welcome, colleague. Good to see you. Hey, we got your beautiful picture up today. Wow. And rarely we get to see you. So something's working with the StreamYard and the Facebook. So thank you. And I'm grateful that you are here because you're here like all the time. She's in our Facebook group. This is one amazing heart-centered woman right here in the house. And she's in the Facebook group. So just join us in there, and love and soul hugs back to you. Camilla is here. She's all the way from Sweden, late night. What time is it over there in Sweden right now? But thank you for being here. The late night and the overnights, I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for everybody, but especially if you're staying up, past midnight to be here on the show live. It just warms my heart. So thank you for doing that. Amazing to see
Joey,
you.
I don't really know many people I would stay up past midnight. It's just very humbling that we've got our tribe all over the world that tunes in at all kinds of crazy hours, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. Somebody was on at 4 in the morning, and I'm like, that's wonderful. That's loyalty. And that's the desire to want to learn.
Yeah,
Because that's
exactly.
what we're doing here is pillar 2. We're serving, we're not selling.
Yeah, and that leads us into like what we're doing actually here is PreFluence. Like
Huge.
that's what it is. So let me give an explanation of what it is, and I'm sure you'll have some other ideas or descriptions of what it is because it's kind of like I remember when I first came up with the word and I was laughed at, and it was like, what do you like, because it doesn't make logical sense. Like it's not something, but it's like that's the whole point. It's like
Yeah,
it gets a conversation going around, and now it's as you know, in our world, the tribe, everybody knows what it is. Like it's the
right.
language. It's a tribe language. Would you not agree?
Well, totally, completely. Again, and I'm going to jump in here. I was on with my dream client today, and I told you right before we went live that we were playing with the invitation, the piece where when people finally get through the hoops that they're going to have to jump through, they've waited in line and then finally let them in, they get to read that. And in it, it was the piece on when you tell them what's going to happen in your cohort.
Right.
And you've done brilliantly with that is create your own vernacular, your own language. So when someone says the PreFluence process or dream client DNA or the victory path, they're not talking about the sales process thingy. It
Right.
may be, but you've called it something that's totally specific to Atlas, to you, to your tribe, to your people, to your language. And that's just another deeper piece of everything you teach is that creating that your whole language for your tribe to speak so that when they're speaking to others, and like you said the other day, somebody was like, this isn't part of your process at this point, although it is, you're like unfunnel it.
Yeah.
Somebody is like, huh, I wonder what that means because everybody's telling me to build a funnel. Unfunnel must mean not to. What does that mean? So there's PreFluence right there just
Right.
by playing with that simple statement.
Yeah, and you're right. Like, thank you for bringing that up because you just sparked an idea for conversation here that unfunneling email or whatever it is engages a conversation with that person or with many people, and that's PreFluence. And so let me explain my view of what PreFluence is, and the disclaimer here is though is I'm not a psychologist here, so I don't claim to know everything about influence, although I've studied it forever and I love influence and persuasion and all that stuff. The way that I see this is because of what we talk about when it comes to dream clients that are on the sidelines watching us. When I finally realize that that's what's happening, um, you could argue again. This is for people who are 1,000 times smarter than me. They will argue, well, that's just influence what you're doing, and I suppose it is. But I like to call it prefluence because I don't see who those people are. So what prefluence is to me is the before the influence. That's the easiest way to to put it out there. Like it's the pre-fluence, right? So you're going to bring somebody into your world, and you're going to influence them to hopefully buy from you in the future. And the influence part of it is not about selling and hard this stuff, but you're influencing them to again move down the line and buy from you in the future. So prefluence is helping people or the dream clients understand your value, not to buy from you right away, but to understand that your value and your difference so that they can come into your world and hang around. Like that's what prefluence means to me. Does that resonate with you at all, or do you argue with any part of that, or add anything to it? Anything?
Wow, that's a lot of questions. Yes, no, and no, I totally agree with you, and I like the explanation, and I like what you said that it is before the influence. Like I got on a call with a dude, and I'm influencing him because I'm telling him what I know he should do to succeed with his business. And at some point, he's either going to say, "Well, what should I do?" And I'm going to direct him in what I think he should do based on knowledge, guidance, insight, intuition. And that's what we're doing out there. We're putting forth what we know that others don't know that they need to know. It's our superpowers, it's our zone of genius. And people are like, huh, that's interesting. I never thought about it that way, or that's different than what I've heard, or I kind of like what he's saying.
Yeah,
And then they're watching from afar. They're not yet being influenced, and I like prefluence because it says it so well. All the this is prefluence what we're doing. We
exactly.
have no idea. I mean, we know those that are on live, but then we don't because some people could be watching on LinkedIn, some could be on YouTube, and others that never comment that just watch. And then people watch the replays. 141 episodes, they're out there, and somebody might say, "Huh." I've been looking for a program like Atlas. I've been looking for a guy that thinks this way. That's all prefluence. You haven't yet started to influence them, which is when they get in the community or you get into a message navigator or an email discussion or you get on a brainstorming call or whatever it is. That's when you can influence them because you put out the little breadcrumbs of, huh, 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 go.
Yeah, and so what you just said is as what I was going to allude to now is while you were talking, it just came to my mind where to explain it even better, or just add to it would be that prefluence is a monologue. It's just you talking,
I like
and and the influence is a dialogue because that's what you just said. You just said, okay, cool. When they get on a brainstorming call or the message navigator, you're having a chat. That's when you're influencing them. And again, like I want everyone listening to understand that influence doesn't mean selling and NLPing and all that kind of stuff. It's just influence because you're now engaged with the person. Does that make any sense?
I wrote it down, Joey, and I was going to type it somewhere uh, in here that says prefluence is a monologue. And I love that. Lorna's doing a beautiful job. Kudos to you, Lorna. She started going live a couple of weeks, couple of months
Right.
ago. She just gets better at it, better at it. And that's prefluence. She's putting out there her thoughts, her ideas, and people are going to be like, you know what? I really like what she just said today.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe next week or a couple of weeks down she says something and then they're at a place and they go, you know what, I think I should reach out to this person. She's somebody I think I would like to work with.
Right.
It's we just got to get out there and do it and not measure it. Well, I only got this many views or I didn't get this many views or shares or likes or retweets or rebloogs or whatever you want to call it. You don't know. Like our episodes, who knows who's going to watch episode 11 one day because they found it on YouTube
Right.
from search. And then that day they were like, I am so fed up with all this funnel crap and I like what this guy said. And so, they asked to join the group or they message you. All the other crap in buying leads and that, I agree with it once you figured it all out.
Yeah, for sure. Like once you have a process that works, that's when you can amplify it. But this here, and I still think there's PreFluence still involved in there. You just put it on, on autopilot almost to allow the process that's worked over and over and over again to get more people in to your world, and that's still part of PreFluence. But anyway, like I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on to help anyone if you have a question about it or like how do you do it or anything like that, like just put it in the chat. We can answer your questions and help you with your kind of PreFluence because I get this all the time. And the other thing that
Joey, let me jump in here for a second.
yeah, for sure.
I didn't lose the thought.
Okay, cool.
The whole idea of PreFluence is we're out there doing all of these different things. And there's no ulterior motive other than to share our zone of genius, share our superpower. And here's where I was going with it. Thank you for giving me the second. When we do this, those people that join our community, our tribe, our Facebook, our circle, or whatever we have, these are people that have been PreFluenced to then become influenced, as opposed to 100,000 leads and 10,000 clicks to go into my funnel to get the email sequence, then come join the Facebook group. I got all these people that I'm herding in to my Facebook group that I have to spend time, effort, and energy, and they're not the people. They're not the dream client. Instead of, I know, like the other day, I was like, dude, 13 people asked to join the club in one day. I said, that was just wonderful to see that because of PreFluence.
Right.
Go bigger. But, and those 13, I'm sure you'll qualify. And then eventually X number of them will stay because some of them will be like, well, I can't make money by tomorrow, so this isn't the place for me. And the same thing is, if you're looking to make money overnight, this isn't the place to you. But go.
Well, usually by that time, they've already been PreFluenced. Okay. And I'm just having some examples here of today, like why this happens and like the messages that I get, and you will begin to get them as soon as, and because you're now planting the flag and standing on the mountain top, and this is what I stand for and all this. And people begin, this is where the PreFluence really works well for anybody listening. This is how it works. So today I got messages and I just picked out two of them that just during the conversation, one of them said, your loving heart is what attracted me to reach out to you. Now, does that not, if you've been in my world, I'm pretty sure that we've talked, like we've just shown up the way we are. And so that to me is like, yeah, that's who I am. That's who I want in my world. I don't want some person to come into my world who is afraid of being vulnerable or shedding a tear now and then. You know what I mean? It's like, this is who we are. We live by the heart. Another one is, I believe there is a value fit here. Listen to the language that these people who I've never interacted with before, this is the first interaction that they have said to me. And these are the words that they're choosing. And I'm just picking two. And this happens almost every single day. And I'm not trying to stand on a soapbox. What I'm trying to prove here is that first of all, you know me. Do you believe that that's me? Those two sentences.
Yes, totally and completely. And again, the fact, Joey, that the conversations you're having are with the people who have been PreFluenced, who have come and found you.
Right.
You're not out there throttling people. You're not out there sending emails every day to get into some new program or product or thingy or stuff or blah. But that is definitely you. And that's how you show up. Like you said, that's how we show up. we talk about love. We talk about heart center. We talk about how we've screwed up. We've talked about our mistakes and our fears, and we're no different than anybody else that's watching. We've been through the journey. We've failed.
Right.
We've succeeded. Whatever words you want to put to it, but we keep on testing and trying and doing different things. And again, I love your honesty from the get-go in how this whole thing started and where you were. And there's not like, oh yeah, I made $1 million in one email and I did this and that. And here's my Ferraris and my houses. We show up exactly. If somebody's on a call with us, it's the same thing. If you're in Atlas, it's the same thing. And you tear up and you're human and you care about people. And that's what we've done on the show, which is why it turned into heart-centered marketing made easy, when originally it was,
Yeah.
strategic marketing club and this, and it all turned into that because you continue to draw the line in the sand for you, that you're only going to engage with heart-centered people. And now it's change makers, and it just keeps evolving into that.
Yeah.
So,
And so like, how do we do this? This is what, get into this, the tactic, not the tactic, because I don't like that word. I guess the idea of the process of the mechanisms, the strategies behind what it is you're doing. And it's real simple. If you ask me, what's the strategy or what's the tool? How do I do this? What's the mechanism behind it? What's the whatever? What's the framework? And the framework is just go out and be yourself. And first of all, you have to know who your dream client is. We won't get really down that rabbit hole because we can spend a whole other hour on just that one again. But the point is that once you understand who it is that you want in your life, because as you know, that's the foundation of everything. And I know who I want. I want people like this. I want people we can talk heart to heart, because that's what human conversations are. It's no B2B. There's no B2C. It's H to H. It's heart to heart. That's it. That's the way I look at it. If I can speak to your heart, then you and I align. And that's part of PreFluence, brings them into my world. And then if there's a chance that we get into a dialogue, whether it's today you may invest or maybe later on you're going to enroll, and not everybody's going to, but that's part of the whole PreFluence process, is being yourself and understanding what it is that you do well and going out there and serving the way we are right now. We're serving, we are putting our message out, what we stand for. And the throttle marketers don't want to hear this. And the people want to make money tomorrow don't want to hear this. And that's totally cool. I'm sure there's somebody who can pre-fluence them, who will put up all kinds of pictures of awards and money and cars and flashy things and everything, and they pre-fluence that person and they get into their world. And there's two camps, right? It's all good, but for whatever it is you're doing, if you're watching this, the most important piece is by starting with your dream client, and then going out and serving. And that the pre part of it is the sucky part, because you can't see it happening.
Joey, two things. First of all, and you said it and I'll say it, and we say it a lot. Yeah, you can go out and buy Facebook ads, and you can go Google AdWords, and you can do Instagram, and you can do all the things, and you can hire agencies. And there are some great agencies out there, and a lot of our friends have, digital marketing agencies. And there are people out there that will drive traffic for you, and that will get you 100,000 things, and then this many clicks, and you'll end up with some sales at the end. And then you got to do it again. You got to do it again, and you got to keep doing it. That's the challenge to me, because I went through it for 2 years. The other thing is, and if that's what you want, go do it. It's not a way to live. It's funny, we had a talk the other day, and I was chatting with someone, and it's like, Joey, this guy is doing 3 different things, and that's way too many. And you laugh because
I still laugh at you saying that now.
But I'm saying 3 is too many. You'd be like, what are you doing today? I'd be like, the 17 things I was doing.
Yeah.
But let me go back to something you said in your statement. You said, if there's a chance that you'll have a dialogue with this person. That's the whole thing. Is the other way is an expectation.
Right.
I pay this money for this, and I'm expecting this many and this percentage and that, as opposed to, I'm putting this out. If there's a chance that somebody is a yoga or a healer that is looking for somebody to help them with all this online stuff and blah, blah, then great. let's chat. I'd love to chat with anybody in that zone. Not that I wouldn't chat with anyone else, because I get on with our tribe members where I can help them for 5 or 10 minutes because they're part of the tribe.
Right.
But as far as spending hours and days, I only want to do it with the people I want to do it with. And so when we look at, if there's a chance, but I don't even think about it, there's a chance. It's just strategy.
That's just there. Like we're answering the question. Like if somebody challenged me on the, well, why are you doing all that? And like that's the answer I would give them. Like, I don't know, there might be a chance that they want to talk to me later, like, but it's not the goal of it. Like, I mean, yes, I mean, this is such a, you know, there is the goal of building the business. We have to,
Joey.
We got to call the elephant out in the room, right? Go ahead.
Everything that we do at the end of the day is to build our business, to build our income, to make money so that we continue to do what we do.
Right.
That's on the table. We're never saying that we don't. It's the expectation that every activity will lead to a measurable, indexable, key performance thingy that's a sale. And that's the mindset that we don't look at is, well, what did I get from that? It's kind of like methodology, specifics, tactics, superpower matrix. I mean, I could go, and I will. I love to go live for no reason at all. I go like, you know what? Today I made some oatmeal bars, and the reason I made them was because I went to this thing and that, and I met this person, and I did this and that and that. And I'm on version 7 of the oatmeal bars. And I'm going to keep trying them until I get the perfect oatmeal bar blondie that's organic and natural, just for me to give away to my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody that's watching a live I do on that is going to be like, what do I give a damn about this guy and making oatmeal bars? But when someone's like, guy does yoga every day and he eats organic and nutrition and he's always this and healers and helping, it's the kind of guy I want to hang out with. That's kind of want to help me. He knows me.
Right.
I don't have to teach him. That's one of the things my dream client said is I don't have to teach you anything.
Yeah, and that's the point. Is that that's the first part of PreFluence. And if there was just two things, it's to understand that your dream clients are watching you, and I'll say it till the last breath that I have, that people are watching you and you can't see them, and they are. If you do PreFluence, if you're out there just giving, serving, and doing exactly what you said, talk about your life, talk about the things that you love and all that, which encompasses the superpower matrix, they automatically know how you can benefit them. So that's where pre-sold clients comes in. And I talk about pre-sold clients, and it's a sexy word. It's a sexy marketing thing. Oh, I want pre-sold clients too. But then they don't want to do the work. And the work is PreFluence. So yes, when somebody comes into my world and I can boast about getting a 60 to 80% conversion, that's how it's all happening. It's not because I'm trying to be this crackerjack dude and say, look at me, look at how great I am. It's just, and I don't have a million conversations.
Well, Joey, it's the same thing as shooting fish in a barrel with a shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to pretty much get an 80 to 90% rate with that. And that's what you're doing. Probably not the greatest analogy, but when you're going to close someone, they've come to you asking. It's not like, okay, if I went out into a stadium and screamed out, attention, anybody that's a yogi teacher or a healer, I want to help you. Well, if there's 50,000 people in the stadium, maybe there's, I don't know, 100, 200. I don't know that. But when, you close 60 to 80%, it's because you're talking to dream clients who have come in and found you. And what you and I do, and here's an interesting question for you. What do you think has happened because you and I talk about this stuff every week for 141 weeks?
That's a big question. It's definitely part of PreFluence. What's happened is that it establishes our credibility. It establishes that we know what we're talking about. It definitely repels the wrong people, which is amazing. It has given me a lot of yeah, just a lot of opportunity that I would have never had before because people can now go and listen to our conversations and binge watch us so they can say, well, I like him and I don't like him, or I like both of them, or I want to. It's just this opportunity that opens up these doors that you can't see it happening again. I just
Okay.
think that this is an amazing a way
uh,
to deliver what we do best.
So let's go down the binge watch idea that you sparked in my head. And I'm going to go back probably, I don't know, 4 years ago when you and I were pre-fluencing in Kajabi. You kind of did it more methodical than I did. I was just helping people and jumping on Zoom calls with them because I knew marketing and I watched these people struggle. You are much more methodical with it. But then you and I just found each other because we liked what we were doing. And we started this. And the fact that, by the way, binge watching, if somebody watched our shows, they could learn everything that they need to learn.
Right.
We don't be like, well, no, sorry, we can't talk about that, Joey. They got to do that in Atlas when you get to the victory path. We can't talk about that tonight. No, we go in. You could probably go back in our episodes and find almost all of Atlas that we
Yeah. Exactly.
played with, but it doesn't make a difference because it's totally changed. Back to binge watching. So we met in Kajabi, and you were helping in that, and you did some little trainings for Kajabi to help new people. And then over time, just they watched. They were watching you.
Yes.
And the Kajabi people were watching you. And I remember when you were asked to start doing the mastermind every month for Kajabi, and it was about dream clients. And you basically, I remember I was on the first call because I wanted to honor you. And I remember Kajabi Megan was like, I binged watched you guys for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, going back to the binge watching thing. And she was learning from it and bringing the knowledge to more people and all of that. I just wanted to give that because it's taken years for you to get that little
Yes.
thing out there built. And again, it wasn't with okay, I'm going to start posting in this group in the hopes that one day they'll ask me to do a mastermind thing.
Right. That wasn't even on my radar. It was like, wow,
No,
okay.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. To just get out there, it's like the easiest thing to do is go live.
it is.
It costs nothing to go live on whatever platforms. You just do it. And again, Lorna and Wendy went like 40 some odd days straight, and she hated it and she was uncomfortable with it. And she just went and did it.
Right.
And you see the people that are starting to do it. It's the easiest way to pre-fluence because not everybody will read. But if I did a minute or 2 minute thing every day for 30 days and just put it out there wherever, and I talked about how yoga teachers and healers can transfer online and all the things. I could do it for 2 years straight with all the material that you and I have and from my stuff and your stuff. And it's just somebody's going to watch it and go, well, I'm a yoga teacher or I'm a healer, and this is the kind of person I'm looking for that speaks my language. I should reach out to them. I should join their Facebook group. I should check out. I should watch their YouTube channel. And all of a sudden, there's things happening, and you go into groups and you help and you share and you write amazing emails. You don't need to write amazing emails. You just need to get all of Joey's emails, catalog them, and then when you need to write an email, you just go model Joey's email, change the words, and watch what he does. Talk about PreFluence and emails, Joey. I have bought, studied emails from everybody. You name it, the Halberts and I just bought, emails that sell thingy from Matt Basak. And you and I have more books on marketing and this and emails. And I bought every ebook on everything and studied everything and everything and everything. And I still watch emails come in and I watch all their patterns because I have certain emails just for those emails. So I just have to glance at them and see what nonsense they're doing. But yours, I print them out after I read them.
Thank
And
you.
then I go into the Joey Ragona emails and we go into a Google Doc. And so It's like I saw an email the other day from one of our tribe members, and I commented how wonderful it was. And it was modeled 20% after yours. And
Amazing.
again,
So I'm honored.
I love reading your emails and responding to them because they are PreFluence at its finest.
Thank you.
You not read emails like them. I mean, even John Carlton's emails that I love his emails and I read them, but there's always a sales pitch. Even though it's subtle, if you want more than join the herd and click here, it's subtle. You good stuff. Go.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. And thank you, Kay. And Lorna is also saying thank you, Scott, for the shout out for her doing amazing things on the Facebooks.
Yeah.
So that's PreFluence. And if anybody has a question, if you're watching this live or even on the replay, because I come back and we'll answer on the replay as well about PreFluence for yourself or anything that has to do with dream clients or bringing them into your world, let us know, ask the question, and we will be happy to answer that question because this is an interactive show. It's not just about us, but we're trying to get to the ideas for you. Like, let's give some real world ideas, Scott, on PreFluence. You've already talked a little bit about, the groups. And by the way, just to be clear, when you and I met, like, there wasn't really any method to my madness at that point. I was doing what you were doing. And then what happened is because of Megan, who saw what I was doing, by just helping, because there wasn't any method. Before that, there was like the content marketing thing that we talk totally against now, and I was doing that before, but then I stopped doing that, and then I started just doing helping, and that's when you and I met. And then Kajabi reached out, and then we did we did a couple of courses together, and that's when I unpacked it all. That's when I went back. So now it seems like, because it's just part of like everything I talk about now. Now I can say, well, here's how you do this. Here's how I believe the Kajabi reached out and whatever, and clients come to me, and this is why. And it sounds now like, whoa, it was all a strategy. It was all. It's not that. Now it is to a degree of a methodology or a mindset, but it's not a step-by-step thingy where like a lot of other people teach about organic marketing. That's not what this is. So I want to make that really, really clear, because it'll totally mess you up if you believe that, because so many people teach this whole going into groups and teach and helping, but they're not, the nuances are completely different from what I do. And I'm not,
Joey, I want to jump in here and clarify that when you talk about PreFluence and going into groups and helping, it's not to start a messenger bot chat, that it's to truly go in and help and serve. And I'll use the analogy way back when I was speaking, and I would just go speak to chapters. And I say, I just want to speak and I want to teach people some cool stuff. And they're like, great, we need good speakers. And guess what? People still need good speakers, and podcasts need good speakers. So go find somebody that's got your audience and go help that audience, which is just another technique. You find somebody that's doing a podcast or that has a group and say, hey, I've got this cool thing called the landing page opt-in formula, and I'd love to share it with your people and answer any questions, and it will help them. I'm not going to sell anything, and I'm not going to do that. And then so you go out and you do that. And now you've got people in a similar tribe, a similar arena, community, your potential dream clients who are exposed to you. You've now helped this person in this group. And like you and I talk about too, somebody works with me, and then it's like, you need to go take Atlas. Or they go take Atlas, and then they're like, well, maybe Scott can help me with this piece. And then it's like, well, maybe this person can help with that. And this person, we've studied with everybody.
Yeah.
So to me, it's getting out there. And one of the things I was looking for with that question that we could have unpacked for a couple of months is what's happened over 141 episodes. What's happened is our ability to talk about what we talk about, unpack it. What did we read today? What happened today? What did we do today? Talk about our superpowers, tell our stories. And really, it's perfecting our art and our craft of influencing people or prefluencing people, because we just keep doing it. You and I have gotten into a rhythm over 141 shows where, in the beginning, we were just jumping all over each other and was much more sarcastic and trying to mess you up. But we still do that because this is fun. And
Yeah.
again, no ulterior motive.
Yeah.
How can we help people? I want more people to understand what PreFluence is so that they attract dream clients, so that there's people out there watching them. Because when I see what happens to me and other people and how their lives change and how you save people's lives by just totally transforming it to where they focus on what they love and they hang out with who they love. And it takes away all of the crap that is the techno nonsense index throttle stuff that just, I don't think it's working for that many people anymore.
Yeah,
I really
it's gonna decline. I feel as though it's declining, and I had conversations this week. I totally believe from Prefluence, and a couple of brainstorm calls, and there's not a lot, like I'm saying, and I can't remember now. Like one or two asked about Atlas, and then and then I said, well, here I'll give you the doc, because at that point they were good
it,
fits. Okay.
it's the,
And
excuse me, Joey, it's the private Google Doc.
right. I said, I'll give you the private doc. And then, and it's just so weird because I've been in so many conversations, like thousands of conversations before this with all the techniques you can name, and going through all the objection handling stuff and the scripts and you name it, like, oh my God. And it's just so uncanny that they, they're like, some people ask about the price of what it is, and I'll say, well, everything's in the Google Doc, you can go there, but I'll tell you, like, right now what that is. And they're cool with it, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. And and it just happened to me this week, and they're like, okay, cool. And then right, they're gonna go read the thing, and I'm thinking, my old brain kicks in, thinking, man, if anybody saw me do this, like the salespeople, they'd be like, you just let that person go. Like,
Yeah,
why didn't you? They didn't give you your credit card. They didn't. You need to push that person. Like, well, is that price okay with you? Is there a problem with the pricing? Like, I'm not here. Like, you know what I mean? All that crap. And I'm not saying it doesn't work. To some people, it works, and they want to push the person to the next stage. And maybe that's what you're supposed to do in some cases. Maybe I messed up. I don't know. But for me, that's not who I am. And it was just funny as a out of body experience, looking at the situation, going, why didn't you just why did you just let that person go? And that's not the only time it happened. But it's like, this is cool, because I believe that's part of Prefluence. I may have been in an influencing conversation, if you want to call it that. It's not persuasion, but it's influencing conversation. And that person may or may not enroll in Atlas at this point. They may enroll later. They may come in 18 months from now. And that this conversation that I just had, I believe, is part of Prefluence. That makes any sense.
no, that makes total sense, Joey. And it's like if I'm talking to someone, I don't have anything ready for them. It's like I don't have a sales page ready for them to go at this point when I've been doing what I've been doing. It's just like, okay. And it's like, yeah, it's $10,000 for me to do that with you. And, okay. And it's not like, well, can you have $10,000? Is there any reason you couldn't spend the $10,000?
Right. Like
You
all
know,
of those.
maybe I could, do a payment plan for you. And that it's like, look, it's 10 grand and I take, five up front and you give me 5 in 30 days and we'll get all the stuff done. If you want, I'll put it together in a thingy and you can do it. And if they don't, it's like, I I just never did that. I could never. It just the whole overcoming objections thing. So is what you're saying, Joey, is that $5,000 is more than you're with them, and you say you need to check it with your spouse or your partner. And what is it that you'd be checking with them about that you couldn't make that? It's like, you know,
Exactly.
it's like, here's, going back to the post the other day. Look, here's what I got. Here's what it can do for you. Here's how much it's going to cost. And if you want to, we're at the point where they've gotten prefluenced already. You're not taking cold traffic and you've got to write a sales letter that takes them through every step of the journey, that overcomes the objections, that states the thing and goes through this thing and that thing and this step and that step, and then the PS and the PPS. It just takes it all away when you do the prefluence, because you're out there. I always ask people, what do you know that others don't know that they need to know? And if you went out every day and shared with people that need to know what you know that they don't know, and give it all away, because they can't ever have this. Like when I'm talking and you go, you just sparked an idea. And then you'll be saying something and it just sparked an idea.
Yeah,
That
and
stuff happened. Go.
one of the things that I find is hard for many to grasp, um, or maybe they're inside the whatever you want to call it. Like they're seeing the people that are on their email list or in their Facebook group or whatever, and then they'll say, "Okay, I've tried all this. Like I've done it. I've given for like 3 months and nothing's happened." And granted, that happens. Maybe it'll be 6 years. I don't know. But at the same time, what they're focused on is those people. And that's the key. They don't see these other people that are hanging around. They don't see those people because, man, like in the last three atlases, the people that are joining, I've never met them in my life. Like I've never interacted with them. They're all people who were cold to my understanding, right? But every time I've had the conversation with them, they like, we've been watching you for months, sometimes a year already. And I love your approach of heart center. I love this about you. I love that blah blah blah. And so they're speaking not only my language because they're being prefluenced, right? They're being prefluenced, and they're we're aligned. Like that's another huge word that I hear all the time. I align with what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's part of prefluence because we haven't even interacted yet. There's no influence there. And so that is huge.
I remember years ago, Roy Williams, in one of his teachings, was talking about the whole we believe. And that his whole thing was, you go out there and you talk about what you believe in. And I remember Digital Marketer Labs, DM Labs, and Ryan Dice, they had their whole entire team do a little video on what we
Yeah,
believe in.
I
And
remember
it
that.
people to align and say, I believe in this, 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 and this. And if you're like, well, that's not what I believe in, then go stand in another line.
Right.
Then, as you said, you repel more than you attract. I don't think people understand that all the time. And Prefluence's job is to do that, is to
Right.
repel people that you don't want to waste time. Like I was at the health food store last night and they said, could you stop sending me email receipts? I don't want to waste the X's and O's in the bandwidth. And one day it might cost money. And I don't need that extra click in my life every time I buy something. And it was just, that little thing that I don't need you in, or I don't need to know that in my email box. And when we get into someone's email box and they trust us through Prefluence and we give them what helps them move the needle, one day they might read an email that they needed to read that day from you and
Right.
go, crap, I really need to. And you're right. That's the Prefluence is invisible. It's a monologue, and then it creates the dialogue.
I think, yeah, that email, just to go back to that email, the sequence of events with that email was directly from Prefluence of doing the mastermind. Okay.
Yeah.
Then, like I said, because it was from the Kajabi thing, and then I got asked, I was like, this is really a great question. So then that sparked the idea for the email, which again is part of Prefluence, right? So here's what I want everybody to that's listening to really grasp that it's not like you're always trying to create. You're it's again, we're we're going down the 4% multiplier path here, but for a second, like you're only doing a couple things and then you're repurposing, but it's not repurposing in the way that repurposing is usually sold out there, right? Um, but that's what I did is I repurposed a conversation that was amazing, that I thought was pretty amazing. It was a pretty good conversation and coming up with a good idea of the answer that I even taught myself, like, and it ended up to be an email. So that wasn't too hard to do. And then from that email, I had 2 people reach out just
So
from that email because of them identifying with that situation.
I'm going to jump in here because you just laid out a beautiful process there. That was not a process that was planned.
Right.
Only now you look back, you can't connect the dots forward.
Right.
So, I remember you did the thing, and then it was like I said, dude, 13 people, and then we talked, and you're like, what do you think of the unfunneling thing?
Yeah.
Because he said that because you were doing something in PreFluence that you heard unfunneling, that you then started talking about, that then sparked an email, that then 2 people, all of that off of a piece of PreFluence, and all those little pieces that those don't happen when you're having to figure them out and architect them in a funnel and an upsell and a downsell and an autoresponder sequence, because you're talking to exactly what dream clients in training are asking you.
Right. Exactly right. So that's what and going backwards is where you can figure it all out. But if I would have said, on Friday, what's this going to do for me? Right? Like, why am I doing this? I don't get it. I don't see any cash register. I don't hear my phone going cha-ching, 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 and they like the Shopify thingy or the whatever, the Stripe thing. Oh my God. Right. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. But, it's like, just like show up and serve. That's why the pillar number 2 is serve, don't sell, because this is what I've just unpacked over all of these years is who's the dream client. Make sure you're talking to only to those people who you want. And then if you serve, don't sell, that's the PreFluence piece of it. And then wait for them to make the decision on their own timeline. When and if they are going to make a decision, and don't worry about it. And focus only on, like, I think actually, speaking about this now, Scott, number 3 is actually a passive thing.
It is.
Right? It's the other 2, and even number 1 is passive once you define it. It's like, I already know who this is. So really the active part of the pillars would be number 2.
Yeah, serve, don't sell.
And that's it. So so what would we call number 1? Like, that's
building.
It's the building block.
Yeah, that's the building block, because without building the tribe, you got to have the building block to build the tribe. Then you go in, and the active part is serving, and the passive part is their timeline.
I'd love to come up with an analogy, and maybe we can speak about this more. But it would be like, to me, it's kind of like you're getting the tools together for the toolbox. Like, that becomes your toolbox, for the lack of a better analogy, right? That's the number 1 is you finally gathered all the tools, and I don't mean tools by strategies, but just go with me for a second. And now you're out there and you're using the tools to do the serving and selling, because the toolbox is the actual person. Like, that's who this person is. So we've got to come up with a better analogy. But so the toolbox is the toolbox. Like, you've already bought all the stuff. It's already there. That's what you're using, right? Help me come up with a better analogy sooner or later about this.
What's your schedule like tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Atlas. So I'm training pretty much all day.
Atlas Wednesday? I thought Atlas was Thursday.
Well, it was Thursday last cohort. This cohort, it's Wednesdays.
I wish I would have known that.
I change it up all the time. You do know that if you read Joey's emails.
I read all your. You didn't get anything on now. You didn't put me in the next Atlas thing.
Yeah. I sent you an email. I did. I sent you a message. Anyway.
It's okay.
Yeah. So I think that's what it is. It's more of like the active piece of the pillar is like the serve, don't sell, which is where PreFluence lives. Like, it doesn't live in the first one, and I guess it kind of lives in the third one.
I think the third one's more about them. I think the second one is where PreFluence lives, because serving, not selling is all about PreFluence. And the third one is, that's the passive part where we absorb the energy that's going out there from all the PreFluence in number two.
Yeah.
And I don't, because say number three again, the way you say it.
Respect their timeline.
Okay, on their time. So respect their timeline. That's passive. That's all them. That's just them interacting with two and one. And two is the active part, three is the passive, and one building the tribe. Yeah, we've got to come up with an analogy.
See, that's the reason, thinking about that, the respect their timeline, which is why I don't feel that need to push someone on a call who's asking even right about, like, tell me how to work with you, or tell me your program, or whatever it is, and you like, here's the thing. And that's the point where most sales professionals would say, okay, they're ready, and gotta kind of, and I don't completely disagree with that, because I know a lot of really cool people who care, right? But I'm not saying that how do I say this without screwing this up? I know that there's a lot of great people who care, like salespeople who care, but there's mostly, I'm not talking about the ABC guys,
Right.
not those people. But I'm still not at that point. I'm still not at that point where because here's how I look at it. If I feel icky about doing it, I don't know. I think they're going to feel the same thing. They're going to feel the energy. And that's another word that comes across with a lot of my clients. They're telling me there's an energy that they feel.
And Joey, there is room for the school of thought of, look, if I don't help close this person, I'm
Right.
doing them a disservice.
Right.
I know that they need it. Whatever the reason is blocking them from going, I need to help them get over it. There is that school of thought that I agree with, but I've never done it. It's like, if you want to, just let me know. That's it. Joey, I sold life insurance.
Right.
Insurance when I was 19 for the fun of it. And I just, I had to go in and that whole thing of, and what happens if Mrs. Marshall is all alone and you're not here anymore? And
Right.
what's her life going to be like? And I was like, you need $10 million in insurance to secure the real estate deal? I'm in. I'll write it for you. Because that whole icky thing, to me, it was icky. For me to, it's like, look, here's what I got, and here's how I can help you. And if you want to, here's so much, let me know.
Well, okay, so what do you think of this? Like, you just sparked another idea here. Man, there's a lot of ideas in this one. I got to go back and listen to this. If you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay, please, in the chat, or hashtag live if you're watching live. And if you like what you're hearing, maybe smash the heart or the like button or something like that. Let us know we're doing a good job. Let the socials, the LinkedIn's, thank you for allowing us to broadcast. The YouTube's, thank you for allowing us to broadcast. And Facebook as well, thank you for letting us to broadcast. And of course, Twitter, we haven't forgotten about you. Thank you. It'd be amazing.
Joey, stop 1 second. I just want to comment on what you just said. Thank you to LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook for allowing us to broadcast live for free.
Mm-hmm.
For free. We get to do this. My gosh, we've developed a show that people get to watch and archive anytime on any topic. And one day this will become a thing that we don't even know what it's going to become.
Right.
Type of something thingy, who knows? Because again, no preconceived, but the fact that we are in a time when PreFluence is free.
Yes.
Totally free. And there will, I'm not, predicting and saying I'm a futurist, but there will come a time when all of this stuff we do now for free is going to cost money. It's going to cost money to send emails. It's going to cost money to go live and use all this bandwidth. And somebody's paying for all this stuff. And one day they're going to be like, let's make a couple of $1 billion. Now you get to buy your time going live. Take advantage of everything out there. And we haven't even talked about this, but most people won't go live because they're won't get over themselves, and just
Yeah.
so I don't know where we were, but we were
I
somewhere.
remember I'm trying to keep it in my head because I'm ADD, right? So I'm trying to keep the thought. So I did keep it. I wanted to go back to the disservice thing that you talked about. And here's my thought. Um, because I believe that too. Like, but not the way a lot of the gurus sell the thing. You know, they're the pushy marketer to me. You're doing a disservice if you don't offer them something like right now.
Right.
Uh, I believe in it, but here's how my mindset has adapted to bring in PreFluence. And let me know if you agree with this or not. Everybody listening. So if we do PreFluence, let's say we do this, and then let's say just somebody gets on a call with us, and then the thing happens, like I just explained to you, that they're like, "Hey, cool. Like, what do you have? And like, tell me more about Atlas or whatever." And I say it, and I say, "Well, it's $3,000, and here's the thing." And they're like, "Cool." And then that's the point where we would be doing a disservice if we don't push them to go to the next level. Okay, in the context of this conversation, what I believe now is by not doing that, they're going I'm using pillar number 3. I'm saying, "No, I'm just gonna respect their timeline."
Yeah.
And they go back into prefluence, right? So you're you would do the where the disservice piece comes in is if you don't continue to prefluence. If that person leaves the conversation and now they're still in your world, you're doing a disservice if you don't do prefluence. It's not about how do I close these people getting on this call. No, they've gone back into the again the pond or whatever, you know, bringing people in your pond or your world or whatever, and they're swimming around, and you forget about them. A lot of people just forget about them and like I got to get more leads in because I'm not closing anybody here.
Yep.
So I'll leave it there because do you have a thought on that? Agree, like anything?
No, I'm just in full agreement. Is yeah, if somebody needs some help and they don't have the money, if somebody doesn't have the money, I'm not going to even try and push it. It's like it's not even going to be a discussion because as you've said, and I love that about you, is look in your brainstorming calls that you do with people for clarity or discovery or brainstorm, whatever you call the call. One of the first things you do is, not one of the first things, but like if you don't have the 3, 5, or 10 grand that it's going to take to do this right now, then I'm not going to try and force you into it. And I don't want you. It's funny, we joked about it. I think it was last week, was you're going to pay for $3,000 for a program that probably not going to make you any money in the first 3
Right.
months. It's not. That's probably close to a guarantee. Some of you, now I was fortunate because I've been doing this thing forever and I was able to take the thing and get a dream client like within the first week of Atlas and get almost a 2x ROI. But that was different because I'm in a different situation. But it all happened because a dream client found me because of
Yeah.
PreFluence. It wasn't anything I that. So yeah, I'm going to stop.
It's not across the board. Like I think that's a whole other discussion too that I think we should have is
Yeah,
about like how much do you believe in what you really truly do? That you can go out and say anything that is the absolute truth because you know that this is the absolute truth about Atlas, right? It's this thing, it's a proven process that will work. However, 80% of the people will not have the immediate result after the first round. And there's two reasons. One, because there are people who hit it out of the park, there are people who get results and all that stuff, right? But I'm in the camp of like let's tell the truth about the majority of the people, not the minority, right? Go figure. There's always the big hitters. There's always the big. Listen how much these people made. That those are all great stories, but when you go to someone's sales page, it's always about the big wins. And so mine is like, well, this is the reality of what's going to happen. So that's the first part. The and so back to like what I've figured out that there's two types of people, and the reason why they don't get the major result of it or the result right away, I should say. One, they're relatively new to marketing and the online world and stuff, and they've found me somehow and like what my vibe is, and they're like, I think I like that because everybody's telling me to go down these other things of outbound marketing and all these other kind of things, and they don't like it. So they have to learn. And so it takes them a little while to do that. Then there's the other person who is completely been, engulfed with everything and they have to unlearn. And
It
so that's the
it's
reason why that if I wasn't truthful to somebody, then they would be like, what is this thing?
it's
So
counterintuitive to everything that, not everything, but to a lot of what's been. And it's, again, it goes back to when the wild, wild west of the internet came, and everyone was like, oh crap, I could take my Word document and I could turn it into an ebook and sell it and make a bunch of money. And that's what they did.
yeah,
Like, I was on with someone the other day who was looking for a copywriter, and I said, you don't need a copywriter. Don't waste your money hiring somebody to write copy to try and sell people stuff and whack-a-mole them over the head
yeah,
and into a throttle sequence. I said, you need to learn to do business a different way. And that's like a whole different mind shift for somebody who's like, I need better copy on my landing page so that I get more conversions from my cold traffic. And then somebody goes and says, no, you don't need copy. You need to figure out how to redo your business. You need a pumpkin plan your business and not do 10 things. Do one thing, because that's what Joey says to do. I want to read what Kali said here, okay?
yeah, please.
Kali says, Joey, that's what you did with me. You respected my timeline. So I did not end up living in a car eating cat food in order to take a program with you. You put my reality first. Most, and I know this to be true, would not have given a cat's meow. Joey, you are one of the most integral people I know. Your energy is so amazing, and I am forever grateful to you and for you in my life. Love, Scott, and you so. In my heart, you are forever. Love and soul hugs.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take that in for a second because yeah.
That's what I want you to do, which is why I wanted to read it. Because earlier you read two comments. One of them had to do with your love and your heart, and the other one had to do with value. And we just kind of come full circle from that. In here's someone saying exactly what that is and why you do and how you do. If you choose to drink the Kool-Aid and buy into the heart-centered marketing way of doing business in order to do business with dream clients and have a dream business and really truly live a dream life, then you want to come and hang out in the Heart-Centered Marketing Club with us and grow and learn and share and be a part of something amazing that Mr. Ragona here has brought to the world, and is just facilitating it for the whole tribe to build on itself.
Thank you. And thank you, Coley. I love you back. Yeah, your story is amazing, and I know that you're going to be impacting the world sooner than later. And she's right. Like, it's not about what she's saying here, but it's more of like I think the whole focus of what we do and what I believe this whole community that we have is: do you care more about your tribe, your dream client, than you do about your own bank account? And that's another thing that's always in the back of my mind is I do want to get paid. I do want to make a lot of money because I have a mission and I want to have a good life too, and all these things. But it's not about the bank account first. And I just don't want to see someone suffer. And she's right. Like, that's a great analogy. What is it here that you just said? Uh, take a eating cat food in order to take a program with you. And there's literally people who do that. And even one of the people that the new students in Atlas, uh, you know, went down this other and just got taken. And I can't stand that. And there's nothing I can do about it but just try with you on Tuesdays and everything else that I'm doing with PreFluence to get out there and just spread the word, spread the love, and just like this is the easier way to do this. But I know that there's people just being taken advantage of every single day, and it pains my heart because I know that they're by the time they get to me, they're pretty much been spent. Like, they're exhausted and they don't believe. And that's just where they
Right.
end up and we can hopefully turn them around. And I think that's part of Prefluence too, right?
That's right.
Because it's like, well, I know you're used to all these other people, and we are different. And yeah, I know you've heard it a billion times before, but let us prove it. I think that's what part of Prefluence is. Go. I know you want to say something.
No, I was just saying, and that's what makes you you, is what you do and how you do. And you like to say that you something something, and I want you to change it because you save people's lives. You truly do.
Thank you.
You do. When they've been where they've been, when they've spent thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, and gone through thing after program or person and coach and this and nothing, and then you show them the way that's easy to do. That's saving somebody's life.
Well, yeah, it's simple. It's simple and not easy. And I think we should really have a show on this about like stepping into the truth of your program. Like how much like really pulling back the curtain and really saying, like Dean Jackson's, what is this the quote that he says, if you only got paid on the result of the person,
Right.
what would you do differently? And I've absorbed that for many, many years. And that's how I did Atlas. And remember when I did the first one, I still think I still do that. I still get paid for it, but it's like, well, if I had to do this and got paid on the result, what would I do differently?
Yeah, and I think Brian Tracy also said, what if you gave them the results first and then they paid you?
Yeah, exactly. And that's not we're not saying do that, but think about what you're doing, and then how much are you standing behind your program. And we're not talking just about guarantees here. We're talking about the things of which is part of Prefluence, is me going out into the world and broadcasting to how knows how many people at the end of the day, telling you that, well, if you come into Atlas, you're probably not going to get the result in the first round.
Yeah,
That's probably not a good marketing tactic for me to put out there into the world, but it's out. Like that's just the truth, because I want the person to understand. And it's like it's not a trickery, it's the truth. And the only way, and you know this, Scott, the only way people are going to get the result is if they listen to me, right? And that's not a dictatorship or anything. It's just
okay.
listen to me. That's all.
Topics we've created to do for the future tonight, that goes into the three immutable laws that come from Mike Kalowitz. And we talk about it, and I have one of mine is, and it's up there, is you got to listen to me. That's it. Two, you got to show up and do what I tell you to do.
Yeah.
And three, you can't be a terrorist. Those are my three immutable laws. And it's the same thing. You got to do what Joey tells you to do because it works.
I love it. And it's funny that we're saying this because in the past I've been noticing this pattern as well in the language. Because uh and remember, like we talk about, like when you're really out there and saying who it is that you work with, and it's just uncanny that people again self-identify because of the prefluence, and they've actually said those words not in the same exact way, but they've actually said, I'm now ready to listen to somebody to tell me, like, just tell me what to do, and I'll go do it because I am committed. I'm ready. And like all these major words, and I gotta actually put them into a little doc just to see it for myself to see like um that it's like it's not just a one off. It's that.
You're going to compile notes into a document? Joey, no, say it isn't so.
But yeah, man. So that's what prefluence is. I hope that by if you've got some value from this, great. If you haven't got value, sorry. Like I don't know what to say. Give us an example or give us the topic that you'd like us to talk about. Put that into the chat. We would love to talk about anything to help you in your marketing, building your business, building your confidence, whatever it is, to get your message out into the world because you have a voice. And by the way, um, just a shout out because I met Trisha Bout. Let me see here. How do you? Um, I gotta give her a shout out because this is an amazing book that I just finished reading, and it has everything to do about your voice. But when you read it, where is it here? Come on. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Trisha Brouk. I think it's Trisha Brouk. Sorry, Trisha. Like, sorry if I totally messed that up. But it's called The Influential Voice. Okay. And I read this, and I'm telling you that it's about speaking on stages and stuff. Okay. But there's so much more to it. And this is what I love about reading things that are like, I love speaking on stages and things like that. I and I don't want to be a professional speaker per se. Not saying I'm never going to want it, but that's what the kind of book is about. Like, but anyway, what I took from it was all the stuff we're talking about here, like how to get your voice out into the world. So take away the pieces of the stage and all that thing, and take it into a context of what we're doing here, what you're doing by getting on Facebook Live or speaking to your audience. Like there was so much gold in here. I messaged her and I said, like, this book like was so profound, like of reading it because of what she's talking about, the messaging. So I highly recommend it. Let me just try to get the. I'll get the. Here, I'm looking at my iPad here. Hang on a minute. How do I do? It's this one here. Will that stay up? Will it stay? Yeah, there it is.
The Influential Voice by Trisha Brouk. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce her name, Brouk. Um, but yeah, so uh, and here's another story because I met her a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking. I think I mentioned this before. This is from Archangel's Changemaker event, and so I got a chance to talk to her, and she we just met, and she looks at me, and we're talking, and she never took her eyes off of me. It was like the most engaging conversation I think I've ever had in my life. And when I read the book, I understand why, but it was like I really felt that I was the only person in the room. She never looked away, even when I was trying to look at something on my. I was trying to buy her book, like right there. It was
Right.
crazy. I was like, let me find it. And most people were like, okay, cool. And then they're looking around. She never took her eyes off me. So anyway, I just want to give her a shout out because it's an amazing book, and I think everyone should read it. That's it.
Okay. I got to read another book now.
We will see you next week on another broadcast. Yeah, it'll be amazing. I don't know what we'll talk about.
Then, right. We'll talk about something next week. Back to 6 topics that we said we need to talk about.
Exactly. I got to go back in and then look at what we just said. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. If you're here, I don't know how long you've been here. And if you're brand new, welcome. If you are one of our amazing tribe, we keep coming back. Thank you. We love you. We love all of you. Thank you for being here. We will see you.